Good evening, welcome to the, let me think, it should be the seventh part of our tutorial series about creating procedural generated audio tracks with Python. So we are at the seventh part, and what we want to do now is we want to create another file. In this part of the tutorial we won't do any new or we won't produce any new tracks, but we will make the entire code more compact and better to create expansions for the code, to create better tracks and to improve the code. Because at the moment we have the file make rhythm, which makes a list of rhythm, and now we want to create a new list, and we want to create a new file, and the file takes a rhythm list and creates an identical list with nodes in it. And yes, for this one we have to rename or we have to rename our nodes and make dictionaries out of it. So what we are doing is the node is now chosen in our rhythm list. It's generated in our rhythm list, but not in our rhythm list, I'm sorry, in our main function. But we want to create another function which creates a list of nodes. And for that, we will create a new file first. But before we create a new file, so not first, we will make dictionaries out of these lists. So for example, the C major one, we will create this dictionary, and we are using characters as keys, of course a C. So we will do this on the other nodes, but I will pause the video. I will do it by myself. 1 second. And as always, I did something wrong. We only need one dictionary. So I will redo the entire code I just wrote. And instead of making 4 separate dictionaries, we only make one dictionary, which will look like. So it should look like this one. And now we will change the lists of string lists. So they are number lists or integer lists, but we want string lists like this one. So what I'm doing is I'm deleting the list. I'm not deleting the list, but I'm changing the values so that a random choice of our node is chosen, and what the main function does, or the make MIDI function does, is just choosing by random one of these values, and using it as a key in node directionary and getting the integer value. So I will do this for the other 3 ones. Now we have a C minor. Let's do this one live. So we have a 65, which is F. We have 67, which is G. We have 68, which is GIS. 70 should be B. 72 is C2. C2 is just one higher. 73 is Sys2. And 75 is this 2. And 77 we have F2. Now we are deleting this one, and yes. Okay, finally we are finished. Now let's move on. Of course, these ones are not needed in this function, but in the file we are creating now. It is a new file, so we are creating new Python file. We call it make nodes. We have a function. And yeah, we make a list we wanna return at the end, so we call it red list. And for bar in rhythm list, for beat in bar, so now it is already time to copy these files, or not these files, but these lists, as global variables in our new function, in our new file. And now what we are gonna do, we want to decide by random which one of these we are taking. So we are creating, you maybe guessed it, a new dictionary, or we can make it simple and copy our old dictionary, which makes much more sense. And lazy as we are, we have already written scale is random choice of the values. So we also copy that. We are not allowed to forget. We have to import random, and we have to import make rhythm. And now the second part is pretty easy. We want to make a new list, and we don't need to decide in which bar or beat the node is written, because the algorithm just sees, oh, I have this beat and I will give it this node. But we still want to make it more structured, so we create the red list as another list. So what we're gonna do, we will use a default word, which is, I never tried this before, to be honest, but this also should work as, so we choose the function as a default. And now we are in the beat, so we create temp list which we create after he has his bar. And yeah, we want a random choice from scale. And red list should contain this list. Now look at that. That seems kinda wide for me. Now we have a three-dimensional list we wanna return, and the first part is our rhythm list, and the second list is red list. And later we will add a third list, which will be the volume of each node, but this is something we're gonna do for later. Now we should first test the function. Does it work? Just make nodes. We should choose our bars for our rhythm because the default is 0 and we don't want 0 bars. And there's a first mistake. Scale dictionary is not defined. Okay, it can't work because we are not starting our second file, we are starting our main file. And yeah, this is our main file. Of course, make rhythm. We don't need this test print, but we wanna print a new list. So we don't wanna prompt it, we want to print it. Okay, we have, let me have a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 8 beats, and if I am correct, this should be 8 notes, and yeah, 8 notes. This has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh my god, this is too much to handle for my little brain. Okay, let's start again. 5, 10. If you're gonna laugh at me, do it, I deserve it. 16. So 16, and the length of this list is 4, 8, 12. Not 16. But maybe I am just bad at counting, and I am bad at looking, because this is the right list we have to count. And it is 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, that should be enough for now as a test. So we have our new function. We're gonna import it. And instead of rhythm lists, we are now creating node lists. So where here I were. And make notes. Make MR point. Make rhythm max bar 70. And of course this one is B rhythm because we have one B rhythm list. So now we have note lists. So what we are gonna do next, we have our note list, and yeah, we wanna use this note list. What we are gonna do now is we have our note list, and let's start. Let's use the rhythm as default. I accidentally got again in whatever. It was a random package, I guess. So again, we are now in our main function. So we are in node list 1. And we want to enumerate our node list. This one, we don't need this anymore. We need another loop, which is our bar, or our which loops through our bar. Now I have something on my tongue, which loops through our bar. I hope I got it right. So let's rename bar to step just because I used this one before. So let's move this one back. And our node is not a random choice, but it is from our node dictionary. We have our node list. 1 E E E double E. Now we should have our node we wanna have. And I'm wondering why this is at a random. Oh, maybe because there can be a, I don't know, there can be a break, but from now we don't use breaks anymore. In our next video we will use breaks. And let's delete them. We are nearly finished. Let me think, what is missing? Okay, I don't care. Let's just try it. Okay, please don't let it be red. It is red. Oh no. Okay, where is our mistake? Okay, CE2. Oh, this is pretty simple. We don't have CE2. Let's try again. Oh, this looks not so bad. But does it sound bad? Let's try. Oh, this is my favorite of these. This one is not so bad in my opinion. Okay, this was the seventh part. On the next part we are looking at how to add volume to the list. We are even expanding the list we already created. And yeah, until that, I wish you a good evening, good night. Where I live, it is now late evening, maybe even night. Goodbye, and have fun with coding.